Today in the Quick Climate Dictionary, we'll be talking about emissions trading schemes, or ETS for short. They are the primary way in which governments can regulate greenhouse gas emissions around the world, including Mexico, Canada or China. The biggest ETS scheme in the world is currently the one at the European Union. My name is Mathias Weidinger and I'm an environmental economist at the Smith School for Enterprise and the Environment here at the University of Oxford. In my research, I study how we can align international development and growth in low-income countries with international climate goals. Now, one part of the job that governments around the world will have is to decide how much of the carbon emissions emitted by their economies to avoid in order to meet climate goals. To do that, they need to decide on a hard stop cap, beyond which the economy is not allowed to emit. Regulators could simply tell firms how much they are allowed to emit each. However, some firms, such as steel producers or cement producers, find it a lot harder to avoid carbon emissions than, say, tax consultants. Therefore, in a perfect world, government would give each firm a tailor-made quota that is in line with their ability to avoid carbon emissions. Of course, governments don't have this information either. An emission trading scheme is a clever way to address this dilemma using the principle of cap and trade. Governments issue a large number of tradable permits worth 1 ton of CO2 equivalent each, for example, and let firms trade among themselves. Firms that find it easier to save on CO2 emissions will find it useful to sell some of their excess permits to firms that cannot as easily save on emissions. At the end, the economy will end up saving emissions where it is most cost efficient to do so. What's more, because firms can now make money by selling more of their permits, they are intrinsically motivated to leverage innovation towards cleaner technologies. As a result, the whole economy cuts emissions where it's most cost efficient to do so, not only enforcing the cap, but also accelerating progress towards net zero. A concept explained in another video.